right, now time for Shaw's Spin. Bud Shaw, longtime columnist. You read him now on WKYC.com. And Bud, we'll start with the news of the night. Freddie Kitchens fired as the Browns head coach. What did you make of this? It almost felt like it had to happen, right?
Yeah, I wasn't surprised, Nick. In losing the final 3 games by a combined 40 points, guys half-heartedly tackling on defense, not a lot happening offensively. It just didn't look like it was heading in the right direction. I think they looked at this hire last year and they knew that they were taking a gamble, that it was a reach to hire a guy who had only been a position coach for all but 3 months of his NFL career and putting him in charge of a team, making him the CEO of a football operation. And I think based on what they saw this year, they said, is it going to be less of a reach next year to try this again? And I think their answer was probably not.
There's part of me that says, how can you do this after 1 year? You see these coaches one and done. It's just crazy, but it does make sense. I just think you were not seeing any sense of improvement with this team.
Yeah, and again, if he was a guy that had a head coaching background somewhere and you saw the success that he had and he just had a rough first season here, you might be able to justify it. But they have no reason to suspect that he's going to be a good head coach, especially based on what they saw this year. And it's an awfully large gamble to say, well, let's just see what happens. I think that they learned through the Hugh Jackson situation that just waiting for the sake of continuity is not the right tack.
It's a good point. And as we look at it now, I know there's going to be excitement about some names that we hear and stuff, and it'll be the coaching search. But the thing that sticks out to me is you're firing a guy after 1 year. What type of indictment is this on the organization as a whole right now?
Yeah, and it's certainly an indictment, and it's not a new one. I mean, this is what we've been talking about with the Haslams since they came here, and they're very sensitive after the Chudzinski firing. Rob Chudzinski being one of their first coach they hired, getting rid of him after a year. They were very sensitive to not wanting to look like they had a trigger finger. I think in stepping back from it, they saw a team that was undisciplined this year, that didn't get better, with a franchise quarterback that didn't get better. And I think they really feel that they need to bring in a steady hand, a guy who's had some experience as their next head coach.
Is there a name or two that comes to mind? We're probably going to hear about 20, but is there a name or two that sticks out to you as, all right, maybe this would make sense?
Well, it's going to be an interesting process because we know that there was a part of the front office last year that thought very highly of Kevin Stefanski, the Minnesota Vikings offensive coordinator. Paul DePodesta, I think, was in that corner at one point. He was also a Sean McDermott guy going back a few years when Hugh got hired. So I'm sure there will be some voices from that side of the organization. What's going to be curious to me is if they bring in a guy like a Mike McCarthy, former Packers coach, a Ron Rivera, former Carolina Panthers coach, is John Dorsey's job description going to stay the same? And is that going to entail now a change in the general manager's job if they bring in one of these guys that has a lot of authority as a head coach?
December in Berea. There's nothing like it, bud. I mean, it's just every year it's something new. And just looking at the organization right now, I mean, yes, there's a lot of talent on this team. I'm not going to say it's not an attractive job. It's one of 32, but man, just knowing what they've gone through, this open swinging door, I don't know if it's a job I'd necessarily want to go for. I don't know.
In the statement they released, Nick, they mentioned the core of talent that they have here and how strongly they feel about it. And I'm sure they're looking out there and they're seeing a 1,000-yard rusher, Nick Chubb, a 1,000-yard receiver, Landry, Beckham, another 1,000-yard receiver, a franchise quarterback, and they're saying 6-10 was the best we could get out of this. So if you listen to the words in the statement, they're looking for a dynamic leader and a guy who's a strong head football coach. I don't think they felt like Freddie was a strong head football coach.
But we appreciate the time. That's Shaw's Spin.